That looks like a gas station knife.
Look at all the angles. That's absurd.
Why would anybody want a knife that looks like that?
These are some of the things that you hear whenever you see a knife design out there that's a little bit different. If it doesn't look like a Chris Reeve Sebenza, chances are in the comment section somebody will be saying that it looks like a gas station knife. And today we're going to be checking out one of those knives, which is in essence something that many people might consider a design along those lines, but I happen to think is pretty darn cool. Today we're going to be checking out the Mini Ultimatum by Merriken Knives. Let's go ahead and check it out.
This is Sparta!
Hey, how's it going, everybody? If you're new here, welcome in. And if you've been here before, high five the like button on the way in. I'm Rollshambo, the connoisseur and collector of all things sharp and shiny. And guys, I'm excited today because we get to talk about a knife that I've been jonesing for all year long. And a big shout out and thank you to my buddy Knife Dope for supplying this for review. No, this is not a review unit. This is a loaner. He loaned me this from his personal collection. And guys, if you haven't checked out Knife Dope's channel, I will make sure to link it in the description down below. Go ahead and check him out and tell him that Rollshambo sent you his way. You might be wondering, what is this? I'll be the first to say this knife is ridiculous looking in all the best ways possible. It's so aggressive. This is the Merriken Knives Mini Ultimatum. And if you're wondering why it's Merriken, I don't know if it's Merriken or Merriken. But the knife maker's name is Kurt Merriken, and he makes a custom version of this knife called the Ultimatum. This is the smaller production version made by Rayot out of China. So yes, this is a Chinese knife, and I can tell already there's a certain group of people that are just gearing up. Oh, gas station knife, gas station knife. Listen, gas station knives are designed after really well-made knives like this. This is a far cry from a gas station knife. I digress. What's it made out of? How much does it cost? What's the damage on this bad boy? Because this is definitely a gorgeous piece. Well, the Merriken Knives Mini Ultimatum comes out to a whopping $400. Yeah, you heard that correctly. $400. That's pricey. It's very, very pricey. So is it worth it? Well, what do you get? You know, if you decide to go ahead and spend both an arm and a leg on the Mini Ultimatum, this knife comes in at 7.5 inches overall with a 3.3 inch Magna Cut compound ground blade. Look at the depth on that satin hollow grind. That is really deep. And of course we have a little bit of a recurve going on here, and then nice reverse curve on this flat ground tanto tip. So they call this a recurve tanto, and I think that that's pretty accurate. I mean, you could probably also throw in recurve tanto buoy, you know, with a secondary saw surface. Like, you could saw down some trees with that for sure. On the handle scales, we've got a titanium bolster and what's called reverse fat carbon fiber. Now, the good news is that if this specific mix is not your perfect blend of herbs and spices, they do actually make a couple different variants of this with different carbon fiber. I've also seen some that don't have this sawtooth jimping. Are we going to call that jimping? We could, but I don't know. We'll get into that. So they have a couple different variations, and none of these are affiliate links, but I will link to all of the different variants that I've found down in the description below. So if you really like this, the good news is that finally they are available. This knife has been sold out all year long. I first saw it on eknives.com, but every time they'd release, they would promptly sell out shortly thereafter. So this is nice. Aside from, you know, this beautiful carbon fiber overlay and the really well done titanium, I have to mention these are contoured handle scales, 3D milled titanium pocket clip, and a full length 3D milled titanium backspacer. For deployment options, you have your choice of front flipper, rear flipper, thumb stud, or deployment fuller. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's really good. That means that, you know, if you like to fidget with your knives, or, you know, you don't like one deployment option, the good news is that they have a ton of others. It's running on ceramic bearings, of course, and the action is ridiculously smooth. It's controlled. It's not a straight guillotine. Sometimes I feel like when knives drop shut too hard that they kind of feel cheap. I want it to drop shut, but I want it to be composed when it does it. It means that the detent and the bearings are working in unison to very tight tolerances that are very intentional. That's fantastic. How are ergos in the hand? Well, because this is a contoured handle scale set, it feels really good. The pocket clip does not get in the way of anything. It has a decent amount of retention, but it's not too stiff. In and out of the pocket is a one-handed operation, which is perfect. T8 hardware is standard all the way around, and I am sad to say, no, it is not a single-sided captive pivot. That's okay. That's okay. I know many of us are going to be disappointed because, well, it's $400 and we equate single-sided captive pivots to quality. Personally, I just prefer them because it makes taking the knife apart easier. Now, I don't worry about that on this one because it's not mine and I won't be taking it apart. The second boo-hoo is that it's not left-handed. Do they make left-handed variants of this? I'm not sure. I haven't seen any left-handed variants of the Mini Ultimatum yet. Which is kind of shocking considering the pure amount of different variants that I've seen for this knife, but it's possible that they could be out there. I'm just not sure. Now, I do want to mention this. I don't actually think that this sawtooth pattern here at the top is jimping. I think that it is partly aesthetic. I mean, you can, of course, lock in on that and you get some superior tread for your thumb. Like, where's your thumb going? Nowhere. It's going nowhere, but it's not comfortable. It's not comfortable to bear down on at all. We don't really have a finger choil here either, but we do have a landing spot that you could, of course, choke up with if you want. It's not necessarily feeling like it's meant to do that, though. Something that I really enjoy is the relation between the recurve and the tanso tip. You have a nice belly here, and then you have a reverse of that belly here. That's beautiful in use case scenarios because a recurve is going to do a phenomenal job of drawing materials into the cut and staying in the cut. Have you ever been cutting through cardboard and the tip just slips out? Don't you hate it when the tip slips out? Yeah, I know that I do. But also, the tanso tip up here being nicely curved means that you can stay in the seam of a cut without worrying about ripping or tearing through. That's why skinning knives often have these nice, great big bellies because they allow you to slice along a seam without puncturing through something like the hide of an animal. That's why skinning knives are not typically Wharncliffe style blades. But I digress. This is an absolutely gorgeous knife, and I continue to drool over it, and I think that you could do a lot worse for your money. Could you do a lot better? I don't know. $400 is a pretty hefty price tag for any knife, regardless of where it's made or how good of quality it is. And, if you have that kind of money for a knife, chances are that you're looking at a lot of stiff competition. But ultimately, this is extremely well done. Guys, if this was made in the United States, this would not be a $400 knife. This would be a $1,000 knife, an $800 knife. It would be easily at least twice the cost that you'd currently have to pay for it. But it is very high quality. I'm curious to see, are you interested in the Merriken Knives Mini Ultimatum? Have you seen this knife online? Have you been wondering how good it is, or is this one just a straight pass for you? Are you one of those people who have been itching to tell me how much of a gas station knife this really is? Let's have that discussion in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video and you haven't done so yet, please consider subscribing. It helps out the channel, and we're about to hit 10,000 subscribers. So every single subscriber means a lot to me, but if you just want to watch more awesome knife and EDC content, go ahead and click on one of the videos that pops up next.